So in the last upload, I said I was going to buy that MGW short throw shifter, as well as a skip shift eliminator, which I ended up buying, and it's still winter up here, which is to be expected for the next 6 months. But I'm going to spend a little bit of time in the shop today, and hopefully get them both installed in a couple hours. So let's go over to the shop and get it started. So quickly I'll go through the color I chose. I ended up actually buying the flat stick option, not the regular short throw, so it does have this exposed handle. And anyways, I went with a black handle. This is just as it came out of the box. I only opened it one time to look at it. Let's see if you can focus. There. Comes pre-lubricated on the bottom portion, the little cup. And this kit does come with the lower box as well. Let's see. There's a skip shift eliminator from West Coast Corvettes. I think it was 17 bucks shipped. I paid for it. I think it's going to be worth every single penny, because whenever that skip shift kicks on, it is a pain in the ass and it makes you look like a moron. Looks like some of the hardware comes with Loctite right on those Allen bolts. Comes with the right Allen tool, little sticker, and another gasket. I bought this separately. And guesses on the color of the knob? Oh, need both hands. Hang on. I figured since the car is white and black might be the way to go. So of course I got the white knob also. I did not get the race knob, it's got a 6-speed white ball. Threads onto this shifter. Let's see, my first impressions of this kit is that it's all really well made. Let's see there. Everything seems to have a really nice machine finish on it. Okay, so I got the lower box kit open. Not sure what that is yet. I haven't looked over any of the paperwork. Send you a little bit of blue Loctite, thread locker rather. Some more hardware. This appears to be a portion of the base. More parts, lower box bushings. This appears to be the other part of the lower box. If you do watch the MGW video on the install, I'm not going to do a full install video. They have a really good one right from the manufacturer. A little bit of sound deadening. They explain where to put this in the video. Insulation and some Dynamat. Oh, good. So, a little bit of Dynamat too. Yeah, I think that's just about it. So I'm going to go to the car now and start taking it apart and start the install. So the first thing I did for a little bit better light was take off the center roof panel. And it's pretty bright in there now, so you should be able to see what I'm doing a little bit better throughout the process. So first things first, we'll take off this glove box lid and begin disassembling and eventually taking apart this whole surround to access the shifter itself. Well, so far, I'm going to leave this hooked up. I don't want to break the little connector. I'm just going to pull it through this hole when I take the center console out. What I did take off is 2 screws behind here. And under the emergency brake shift boot, there's 2 screws also. There's one here and one up here. So beyond that, I think I'm getting pretty close. I might have to pull off a little bit more, but it won't be too much. So I'll give you a little comparison of the stock 6-speed shifter, upper and lower, stock knob, everything. I'll just go 1st through 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and reverse is way up there off in no man's land. So pretty far center to center. It does center itself nice, but it is a long throw. I mean, it's got to be almost 6 inches. It's pretty dramatic anyways. So I'll leave it in reverse and start taking it apart. So this is about ready to come out. Just taking out the hardware that I mentioned, and the whole unit's going to start to pull out here. I'll have to set the camera down and disconnect the emergency flasher harness, and I believe the stability control harness, and probably just this 12-volt cigarette plug. But other than that, it is ready to come out, so I'll give you an update in a sec. So since removing the center console, all the insulation and an upper bushing, I've exposed this upper shifter box assembly. I'll be taking this out, and per their instructions be leaving this shifter in neutral. So when it comes out, the car is essentially in neutral, is what they want in the video. So I got the stock upper out, and as you'll see down there, it is completely dry. And actually, I had the instructional video playing in the background. They made an awesome instructional video. They don't send you paper instructions, but you can go on their website or YouTube, download or stream the instructional video. But anyways, down there the socket was bone dry and actually shaving off pieces of that bushing. So I got that out. I took out 2 Torx bit bolts, and the third one's here, and the lower should slide out of the way. So the lower is out, and if you'll see in there, all that powder, that is the bushing material. Not to mention, it's pretty well bone dry. And the car's got 130,000 miles on it, but it's pretty bad shape. Next, I'll clean all the dirt and dust off this torque tube, so the Dynamat might have a better chance of sticking. So I've done a halfway decent job cleaning it out per the instructions, and the next step to take is the removal of the lower shift rod from the lower assembly to install in the newer one. So we'll take off this plastic cover here, clean it up pretty good, and assemble the new lower. Here's a little bit closer inspection of this shift rod. I cleaned it up a little bit, but there is some micro abrasions here that were actually mentioned in the video, and seems to be a pretty normal way for something with this many miles. Here's a better view of the worn out shifter bushing from the old unit. I'll show you that. It was bone dry. It appears to have been coming apart slowly but surely. Yeah, maybe you can't hardly tell, but there's more shavings on that lower shaft area there. Anyways, we'll get on to assembling the lower shifter assembly. So I got the lower assembly all put together, and pretty smooth operation. I like it. These do come pre-lubricated, the 2 bushings anyways, and there is thread locker on all 4 of these Allen head bolts, so you don't need to buy anything. Maybe if you wanted to lubricate this a little bit more you could, but it's just about perfect. It's a real nice bolt action type feel. So next step is putting on the heat shielding on that tunnel. So I'm all done installing this portion of it, the Dynamat and foam sound deadening. They're mostly pre-cut. You have to cut a couple pieces in half. Not a big deal. The biggest thing to make sure of is that this rear, the actual shift linkage is going to clear everything, as this is the last step before you install the lower box. Basically, they just didn't want you to overlap pieces here. That seemed to be the big deal. Not install them above this edge. So I've partially installed the lower box into the transmission tunnel. I didn't tighten this forward bolt here, or the rear one, or the shifter linkage bolt. Super important that what you do first, let's see, you set in this MGW centering tool that they provide, and it should locate the shifter dead center with these 2 bolts here. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Now I got those tightened. These 2 Allen head bolts tighten it and center in your actual shift linkage on the, I guess the shift rod. Very important that you tighten this bolt first. It's a T40 Torx, and in the video they tighten the forward one, then the rear one. This basically centers the lower shift assembly where it should be. So I'll go ahead and tighten those. So the 3 Torx head screws are all tightened up, Loctited. I laid the lower shifter gasket in place, and the next step is to take out this lower shifter ball. In the video they apply a little bit of the lubricant to that shifter cup there, and we will set the upper shifter in place and tighten it down. So pretty much wrapped up with the shifter assembly itself. Tightened all 4 of these I guess Allen head bolts, and there are 4 set screws, 1 for each respective bolt, front and back. They have to tighten and lock them in place. And this is considerably shorter already. It's really no joke how much different it is. 6th reverse is way up there. It'll take some getting used to, I guarantee that, but so far so good. Next step is to reassemble the lower shift boot. That requires a little bit of cutting with a razor to make it fit over this per the instructions. Here we are with the lower shift boot installed. It is cut at this first little ring, so the upper ring from the shifter actually fits in there and makes a decent little seal. I'm going to reuse this stock rubber, I guess an additional gasket or ring, and this will be cut approximately the same size. As you can see, it should fit somewhere around the middle there, I'm guessing. One thing I found that they didn't show in their install video is how the shift boot is actually going to stay shallow on the shifter to show this little emblem here. It comes with this little rubber grommet, and I found the easiest way to do it is to install it on the boot itself before putting it on the shifter, and you will zip tie it in place after. So just make sure you orient, your shift boot correctly. It's a little confusing because it looks pretty much, I guess, ambidextrous, or could flip one way or the other, but it does go one way. So that's the easiest way to get that onto there. There is a single mounting tab in the front, and that will go forward. There's not one in the back on a 2005. Otherwise there's 4 located around it, but that's the way you can determine which way is forward. And hopefully this shot will make better sense of putting on the boot itself. The tie up that comes with it will wrap all the way around that little grommet and the bushing itself, so when you fold it over, it will look something like that in the end. It's not perfect. My shift boot's older, so it's going to be one of those things that is what it is, but it's going to look pretty good in the end. Make sure you cut the zip tie inside. So at this point I have the center console reinstalled, boots in place. The knob, I screwed it all the way down, and I did find a supplied jam nut. I bottomed it out on the jam nut, backed it off 1 full revolution, and then tightened it together, and it's perfect. I didn't put any thread locker on it or anything, but it's looking pretty good. Here's a quick show of 1st through 6th. Obviously it's winter outside, so I can't go driving, unfortunately, but here's a good comparison. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe that's 6. And that should maybe be reverse. It's really, really tight. I did check and make sure I could get into reverse and all the other gears. I looked at the reverse lights anyways outside of the car, and they did come on. So that's 6. I did find myself trying to go too far over and go into 6th gear initially, and I felt like I was never getting into it. So 2nd, 4th is like straight, and 6th moves to another gate, and it actually does go down. It's not gated obviously, but it's got a different tension. 2nd, 4th is straight, and there is 6th. I believe that's 5th. Well, no, that's probably reverse. 1st, 3rd, 5th. Well, that might be reverse. It's hard to tell. 5th and reverse are the only 2 that I'm questionable on, but so far feels pretty good. This will, we can find out quick here how easy it is. There, keys, we'll start it. Everybody likes a cold start. So let's see, we are in neutral. Clutch out nice and slow. Going to 1st gear here. Should be in 1st. Yep. Moved a little bit. I'm going to try and go straight into reverse. That seems to be the trickiest thing for me. Let's see here. There we go. And I had the e-brake on, so it stopped, but anyways, we're still in reverse. Not so bad to find. See if we can go straight down to 6th. Yeah, it wanted to move it. It's probably hard to tell, but it'll be pretty intuitive, I think. It's a good little shifter so far. I'm excited to drive it next year. So, throw it in reverse. That that was actually easier, I think, than the stock knob. It went directly into reverse. Before I had to fight it a little bit. Could have been the worn out bushings, could have been because it was dry. Longer throw, I don't know, but so far it seems like every penny that it takes to get one of these is well spent on this piece. It's going to be awesome to drive next spring. So for the price, 10 out of 10, I guess. I'll show you what it looks like with the interior. It should look pretty good in there. I think it fits the part pretty well. So that about does it for today's video. I got the roof back on, and I'm going to do a little bit of a subscriber challenge. If I can get 750 subscribers in the next month, or by January 1st, I will buy a fast 102 intake manifold for the car and do a video on that too. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel for more videos. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Comment below if you have any questions or anything about the install of that MGW shifter. Like I said, if I can get that amount of subscribers by the new year, I'll go ahead and order a fast 102 intake manifold in anticipation of a dyno tune this spring. I also have this O-ring set coming from Elite Engineering. It was $25 with shipping for a set of O-rings, which kind of sucks, but I guess that's part of it. But anyways, thanks for stopping in. Hope you have a great day.